Okay, everyone, welcome back. Let's put this recording. Okay, everyone, welcome back. This is going to be a little housekeeping. This is going to be the last shiur before Rosh Hashana. And then for those who are zocheh to make it to Uman, we'll be off to Uman. They've made it impossible to get to Uman. It's totally crazy.
But you're going.
We're going here, Baruch Hashem. A lot of manias. Hello, good morning. Thank you. Okay, so the Sfarim bring, so this will be the last shiur before Rosh Hashana, then we'll see the week by week. So the Sfarim bring, I don't know about everybody else, but I happen to be exhausted this time of year and run down, and the Sfarim bring that this is actually what Rosh Hashana is for. Rosh Hashana, it's brought in the Arizal, other Sfarim, that Rosh Hashana is Rosh Hashana, the head is sleeping. That there's a big slumber. Come Tishrei is the beginning of the year and Elul's the end of the year. So the Rosh Hashana is everything just goes into slumber. The end of the summer, the year starts, everyone's in transition, all schedules, all new beginnings. So Elul is a time where everyone's sleeping. And that's why we have the shofar. The shofar is Ure Yeshanim Mishenaschem, wake up from your sleep. Because the Torah acknowledges that there's a deep slumber that happens to all of us at this time of year. And we're all like, and then the shofar is used to wake us up. So if you're not awake for the Yamim Noraim and you feel like stretched and pulled in a million different directions like myself, so then that's okay. It's supposed to be that way because the Yamim Noraim are used to wake us up from our sleep. So you don't have to be up before the holidays come. The Chagim themselves are used to wake us up. So if you're feeling worn out and stressed or anxious or whatever it is, that's a good thing. That means you're in tune with the times of the day that the Rosh Hashana, the head, begins to slumber, the head begins to sleep. And the shofar, once again, is our alarm clock that is trying to wake us up, to bring us to a conscious awake. I mean, Yeshena B'libi, everyone, our heart to be awake. So, with that in mind, I wanted to do these two pieces over here in Orot HaTeshuva. Perek Yadalid, Keta paragraph Chaf Gimel, and we'll jump right into this. Im Adam Shenofel Kol Kach B'daito. If a person falls so much in their mind, Ad Shemirov, right, Rabbi Nachman brings this, the main nefila is bedaito. We think we've fallen. Im Adam Shenofel Kol Kach B'daito. If a person feels they felt so much in their mind, Ad Shemirov Mriros Nafsho Al Otzum Yiridas HaMasorit, right, until they fall into the depths of morality, looking at inappropriate things, going here, going there, doing whatever aveiras, whatever sins, whatever lowly feelings that they have, filled with shame, anxiety, worry, guilt. B'chol chata'av. With all their sins, it's not just they're thinking about doing aveiras, it's not just they're emotionally charged, having internal processes, but they're actually b'chol ta'av, they're actually bringing those aveiras to fruition, they're bringing them out, they're partying, they're having a really good time. Okay? Eineno yachol laharim rosh lasok b'torah u'mitzvos. And you're not able to do anything spiritual whatsoever. I can't even pick up my head. I just want to lay in bed and sleep all day long, like Yonah in the bottom of the boat, right? You can't pick up your head to learn Torah, to go mitzvahs, to go to shiur. Baruch Hashem, this is not anyone in this room because we find ourselves at a shiur, right? And a person feels just the complete lethargy and inability to pick themselves up. But Yishuv Shel Olam, to do something productive, right? We were talking before the shiur started about just being a functional human being, right? You find you can't even be a functional person. Bechevras, habrias, right? You can't function in the world. You're not living up to the things that you should be doing. Or bechevras, habrias, you're isolating. You're not hanging out with friends. You're not socializing, right? Rabbi Nachman said, Mekavlin din medin, sichas chaveiro, people speaking with one another, receiving, you're just isolating, I don't want to be left alone, I don't want to deal with humanity. Ubimenuchas B'mitzvos yishuv sha'olam u'benuchas hanefesh b'menucha v'simchas nefesh bria. And you can't do any of these things with peace of mind and with a little bit of joy, nefesh bria, and a healthy soul. So you're basically in the pits. You can't do anything, right? Tzarachu lasim el libo. You need to place into your heart. Take this to heart. Place this on our hearts. We all need to do this together. Kimidakos leiv kizos, with such depression and despondency and resignation. Al kol avonasov, that you're being filled with all your averos. Harehu vadai be'oso sha'a bal tshuva gamor. At that moment, when you're sinning against God and you're in bed and you're self-isolating and you're being self-destructive and self-sabotagical, at that moment, and you're feeling the weight and shame and guilt and pressure and nervousness, fill in the blank here, right? Whatever it is, your cup of tea. At that moment, because you're feeling all that, Rav Kook says, you're considered like a Baal Tshuva Gamor. You're a completely returned person. Baal Tshuva Gamor. Ve'im kain kvar shegava ma'alaso. And if so, you've already fulfilled your potential of being a Baal Tshuva. Ve'yuchal laniach daito v'lashuv l'simchaso. And therefore, you could calm yourself and bring yourself back to a state of equilibrium and joy. V'chedvas rucho, and delight in your spirit. V'lasok b'chol hatov, and do good. Mitoch leiv shekef v'simcha, from a quiet mind, a quiet heart, and with happiness. Ki tov v'yashar Hashem, because Hashem is good and straight. Isn't that amazing? Amazing. When you feel like your life is falling apart, and you're feeling the weight of nothing going the way that you wanted it to go, and you just can't even pick yourself up to go to a shiur, or get out of bed, or have shalom bayis, or talk to your kids normally, or anything, fill in blank, right? Or you're struggling financially in any area, you should know, if you're feeling all that, that means you're a Baal Tshuva Gamor. What would we do without tzaddikim? Right? The fact that you're feeling all that, the fact that you want to come close to Hashem and you're failing at it, the fact that you want to do the right thing and you're failing at it, that grain of desire is there, and you're feeling the weight of everything of the how messed up you are, so to speak, that makes you a Baal Tshuva. Isn't that amazing? I mean,
what does he say after this?
What do you mean, what does he say after this?
Is this taken out of context? Like, I'm waiting for, but you could.
You could. Well, we're gonna get that. Like Rav Nosson says in Likutei Halachos, right? Rabbi Nachman's famous lesson on being mahapich the yagom v'nachin to simcha, right? That there are people, right? This needs an explanation. I'm bringing another piece over here to sharpen it a little bit. You know, this is just a standalone paragraph. Is what he says, right? Right. It's amazing. Rabbi Nachman's famous lesson in being mahapich the yagom v'nachin to simcha, that there are people dancing in a circle, and his depression is outside the circle. And it's one thing when you're happy not to be sad. It's another thing when you're happy to chase after the sadness, bring the sadness into the circle and have it flip to the side of Kedusha and have it flip to the point of holiness. Right? So Reb Nosson says over there, it's one of my favorite pieces in Likutei Halachos, and it's kedai to learn b'chabura, that section of Likutei Halachos. I think it's a portal into the world of Rabbi Nachman, where he touches on many different places, and it's in Hilchos Periya V'Rivya. So Reb Nosson says over there that you can say, a person as low as me is zocha to wear tefillin, the kisrin de malka. Isn't that amazing? A person as low as me, who's failing in all areas of life and struggling so immensely, is zocha to have these desires of feeling shame because I want to come close to Hashem. That's holy, right? You're beating yourself up because there are things that you want to be doing and you're not doing them, but you want to be doing something. Right? If you didn't want to be doing something, that would show that you've had no spiritual life, and your spiritual life is completely crushed. So if there's spiritual movement and an inner world, you're beating yourself up over the right things. Right? It's like Rav Nachman says, also one of his famous lines, is Im atam amin sheyicholim likakel ta'amin sheyitaken. If you believe that you could destroy, believe that you could build. So I once heard it asked, the person said in Yiddish, why is it believe? Usmint emuna im atam amin. If you believe that you can build, if you believe that you destroyed, believe that it doesn't take emuna to see if you destroyed or if you could build. Like either build, you destroyed, right? So I once heard it that imatama amin, if you believe, why? It shows that you have belief. You have emuna, right? Because if you didn't have emuna, if you didn't believe in Hashem Yisbarach, the leis din v'leis dayin, there's no judgment, there's no such thing as destroying, everything's relative morality, right? There's no really ethical code or anything like that, because there's no God. So if you believe that you destroyed, it shows that you have emuna. So believe that you could build. Use your emunah for good things instead of tearing yourself down, right? That the sadness now becomes a springboard for depression, that every Yerid is l'tzarech aliyah. So as Rav Kook is saying that when you feel this inside of you, right? So then that shows that you're holding in a good place. That shows you're holding in a good place.
Because you're feeling it.
Right. And look what you're upset about.
Right.
Right? So it's amazing. Again, I couldn't say this on my own. That's why we have tzaddikim to teach us these things.
Thank you.
You know? Okay, next piece, Parak Yadalid. And you have in the photocopies, it's Lamed Ches 38. Yesh sheruach nofel bekatnos. There is a person that their spirit falls to smallness, right? Right? Mochin the godless, mochin the katnus, right? Small consciousness. When we say, in English, we say small-mindedness, right? Big mind, small mind, small-mindedness. Or in Hebrew, they say, Barosh Gadol, right? Think big. There are people that fall to kindness. Now, I wouldn't know anyone like that. Ve'ein ha'adam motzei benafsho nachas ruach. And a person's filled with such inner angst, such worry, such guilt, such depression, such sadness. They can't find such trauma. They can't find any nachas ruach. There's no pleasure inside of them at all. No comfort. Mipnei muat hamaisim tovim shalo, because of the little bit of good deeds, his lack of good deeds that he's done. Umipnei cheshbon avonos, and because he's always thinking about how many averas he did and how he hasn't accomplished anything in life or access their potential. Umiyut shkeda haTorah, and the little bit of diligence in learning. They haven't been learning. Someone said to me the other day, I don't remember who I was speaking to, I just can't learn. I can't do it. I can't learn. I can't do it. I'm not able to learn. It's impossible. I can't sit still. Just anytime I open up a sefer, I'm just distracted. Can't do it. You know? So what does a person need to do? If you're filled with trauma and worry and survival mode and anxiety, where your nervous system is just ringing the alarm and you can't find any inner calm, a person needs to strengthen themselves in the secrets of thought. He's going to explain. V'yada ki, and you need to know, hamevin davar mitoch davar, to learn one thing out from another, right? That's bina. Is to have bina. Mevin davar mitoch davar. Machshava delay, and he's bringing from the Zohar over here, quoting hamevin davar mitoch davar, to understand one thing from another. Machshava delay chashiv kamei kuchabrichu mikol korbinin ve'alvan, right? Machshava, thought in its own, is considered chashiv kamei kuchabrichu. It's considered in front of Hashem, who it's as if mikol korbanin ve'alvan. It's considered as if a person brought all the korbanos in the world, right? It means just right. This is the thing, that if you say korbanos before tefillah, and you learn the korbanos, Chazal bring as if you brought them. So the Zohar is saying, because the thought of learning about korbanos alone, it's considered in front of Hashem, once again, as if you brought all the korbanos in the world. Just thinking about the korbanos. You didn't actually bring them. You just thought about them. So you see that there's a power of thought to accomplish, even though it hasn't actually been materialized in this world. So just thinking about wanting to do something, even though you found yourself self-isolating or taking another nap or, in survival mode, whatever your thing is, right? Just thinking about it is as if you've done it. So Rav Kook is saying we need to strengthen ourselves in it. Im kein yesh lemachshava kedosha v'tziyurim sichlam ve'elyonim. If so, in the power of thought itself. And again, he's not just talking about cognitive thought, the electrons and neutrons swirling around in your brain, like in CBT, they talk about the different cognitions. He's not just talking about the good thoughts, the bad thoughts, the different types of thoughts. He's talking about the force of thought in its own right, and he put thought together as a principle. If so, with thought, the holy thought, there's amazing loftiness and imagery and intellect that's very, very high. Kol skulat hakorbanos, all the influence and power of korbanos. V'kol skulat avodot hamaisiot hashaychus lahem, all the power of korbanos and all the whole idea of all the avodas and the practical applications of it and the actions connected to it, it's considered as if you did it, are all rooted in the power of thought, right? It says also at the end of, there are many things like this we find in Chazal, like at the end of Sefer Yechezkel, it says it brings the third dimensions of the Beis HaMikdash. So all the Chazal say over there as well. The Gemara says, the Meforshim say over there, like, why are we learning about the third Beis HaMikdash? Because whoever learns about the third Beis HaMikdash, these psukim in Yechezkel, it's as if you built the third Beis HaMikdash, right? It means just the thought of it alone is considered as if you accomplished it. So everything is contained in the root, the seedlings of that power. V'hu adin kol skulas haTorah maisis, and this is true regarding all the korbanos and all the things attached to it. V'hu adin kol skulat haTorah, and this is also true with all the power haTorah hamaisit shebepeh v'dibur, right? All the practical applications of the Torah in speech and in thought, right? Shel kol gufei haTorah, and all the halachas and the etzem body of Torah, hamukvanin Kineged korbanos and nimshachin mahem, and all the aspects that are connected to korbanos, means he's taking this and he's applying this to all Torah, right? All Torah, it's all rooted in thought, right? We know that, right? Even in the thing, it says not only sof ma'aseh machshava tchila, that is first in thought, last indeed, but we know that when Hashem created the world, right, he had a thought, right? There's many chazals and bereshis that talk about how himlich b'machshavat tchila, right? Hashem had this thought, and then he changed his mind. First, he wanted to make the world with midas hadin, but he saw that it couldn't be, so he was mastar of midas chesed to it. Meaning to say, there's this whole idea that the world exists in Hashem's mind, that this whole grand thing is all b'machshavat tchila. It's all in the Rosh bias, which is Rosh Teva's bereshis, right? The head of the house, the mind, the Rosh Hashana. The Rosh bias, the head of the house, is all contained in the Rosh. It's all contained in the mind, in Hashem's thought. So everything in the world exists within Hashem's mind, right? That's like one of the things. Shemus of Hashem is Hamakom, right? Where we're not found, like the world is found in Hashem, in the place, right? This whole cosmic reality is all in the Rosh bias, the head of the house, the Bereshis. It's all exists in godly thinking. In Hashem's mind, in Hashem's supernal will, right? So certainly everything that we think, and when we think about the Torah, when we think about the mitzvahs, we want to do, it's all contained there. Right? Who adins kol v'dibur shel kol gufei Torah merukom keneged korban himshach mehen v'yischazek ma'od b'ma shel pamim yesh b'muat hamaisim, and strengthen yourself that at times in your life, could be days, it could be years, it could be a lifetime, right? V'yischazek ma'od b'ma shel pamim yesh b'muat hamaisim, that you're not doing all the things that you want to be doing, and you find yourself in the inability to perform mitzvahs. But rather strengthen yourself with your inclination, with the power of thought, that at least you want to do it. Right? Right? And it's possible that it could be that all the aspects of your falling and your Yerida, where you find yourself, it all exists because you haven't strengthened yourself in your mind. right? Like once again, Rabbi Nachman says the main nefila is in the das, in the mind, that I think I've fallen. I think this is going to go bad. I think this isn't working out the way. I think I'm not where I'm supposed to be. All that is because I think, right? Like there's a story of Rav Nassan. He wrote to a letter of Rav Nachman, and he said, Rav Nassan said, I want to be mechazik myself, and I'm having so much anxiety, I'm having so much worry, and I know you're telling me to focus on my Nekudas Tovas and do this, but I can't even do that because I'm thinking so much and I can't even do anything. So what did Rabbi Nachman respond to Reb Nassan? Ein lechshov klal, no thought. Enter a state of being where there's no thought. Don't think, right? Have nothing, blank, Therefore, strengthen yourself with this inner wisdom to understand that the entire fixing of the world, and the healing of all souls, everything is dependent on thought. And lift up your mind, your thinking, ad kama de efshar, your inner thinking as much as possible for you, de efshar lo, v'yis'ala l'tshuva ma'ava pnimit, and raise yourself with tshuva, with this inner love. Right? Raise yourself. No, if you're falling and you feel like life's got you down, have this inner gaze on yourself that at least this is what I'm struggling with. Right? That these thoughts, these holy thoughts, all the world tikkun is depending on it, all the healing of all the souls are depending on it, and strengthen ourselves to understand this. Now he ends with the pasuk that we say right before Tekiyas. Ashrei ha'am yodea trua, right? Praiseworthy is the nation that knows the trua, right? This is the secret of the shofar. Praiseworthy is the nation that knows the trua, that could hear the sound blast. Hashem ba'or panecha yelechu, with God and the light of his countenance, the light of his face, will walk. Right in Uman, right before the Tekiyas. Ashrei Yodea Trua. The Nisach Shemi Free Davins. And so you can get the goosebumps from it, Praiseworthy is the people, the nation that knows the secrets of the shofar. What's the secrets of the shofar? Rav Kook is explaining, is listening to the inner sound, the inner thought, the inner peace, that even though it's the Rosh Hashana, the head is sleeping, and we're slumbering and we're struggling, and everyone, there's a trua, right? There's a little bit of, right? It's the brokenness, right? There's the tekiah, it's the strong. Then we feel shvarim, we feel shever, we feel broken, 3 short blasts, and then we feel the depths, the 9 brokenness. I'm down and out, everything that we're describing from the trauma and the survival mode and the nervous system being hyperactive, right? But what's in the end? The end is the tekiah gedola, right? That we take all the shivra, all the shvarim, we take all the brokenness, we take all the hard feelings, and we strengthen ourselves, and the shofar brings us to the Ashrei Adam Yodea True. We strengthen ourselves, we understand that there's a tikkun for everything, that everything has a place. Every yerida is l'tzarech aliyah, right? And that's Ashrei Am Yodea Trua. Praiseworthy is the nation that knows the secrets of the Trua, right? Because Hashem looks at our innermost point of being. Hashem gazes at us in our innermost etzem self, and Hashem looks at that and makes holiness out of it somehow. Like, I don't exactly know how it works, but like Rav Kook is saying, like, that the minute you feel all this, you're a Baal Tshuva, right? That's the shofar, right? Shofar so good, right? That's the shofar, right? That's the secrets of the shofar, the secrets of the Rosh Hashana, the head is sleeping, using all of the Yamim Noraim to wake us up. This is what Rabbi Nachman also brings in Sichas Aran when he's discussing Rosh Hashana. He says in the practical avodas, and it's the overlap here is just amazing, right? Like the secrets of Rosh Hashana, he says in Sichas Aran, he says one of the avodas on Rosh Hashana is to think good thoughts. Right, as my chavrusa and dear friend Yoli Klein, Yoli, you probably won't be listening to this, but as Rabbi Yoli says, he says his explanation on that piece is you have to psych yourself out of all the good things that Hashem is going to do for you on Yom Noraim. Hashem is going to do this good thing for me, and Hashem is going to give me this bracha and that parnasa, and this is going to work out, and that is going to work out, because it's all totally in the sod hamachshava, right? To think good thoughts, and he says there would also be mamayit b'dibur, to speak less. It's not something I do in Uman. Actually, the first night I try to speak less, I'm never successful. But a lot of people are noheg that, and that's a good thing to do if you're able to do that. But I'm not able to do that. So but to have good thoughts and to psych yourself out and really believe internally that Hashem is gazing at our innermost nekudas hamachshava, our innermost being, and He wants to give us all the goodness. Because we're broken, and because we're all confused, and because we're all messed up, and because we're all struggling, Hashem looks at our innermost point of thought and wants to just give us goodness. So on Rosh Hashana is not a time to beat yourself up. It's a time when we're mamlech Hashem. We see that Hashem is our partner, and Hashem wants success, wants us all to be successful. So we got to psych ourselves up. We got to think good thoughts. And again, it doesn't mean just cognitively think this, think that. It means really, really believe what we're learning from Rav Kook. Like really believe this, like that Hashem is looking at us, and the second we're struggling, we're considered Baal Teshuva Gamor. Baal Teshuva Gamor. And I thought about doing a lot of mitzvahs this year that I didn't do, but Hashem considers it as if I did it. Hashem is mitzdarich, machshava k'maisa, when it comes to good things, right? And that Hashem is rooting for us and wants us to succeed. And now we'll do one last piece over here. I just can't get enough of this Sefer Chadarov of Rav Kook's diaries. I just love reading it. It's just a small piece to see. I thought this piece was an overlay. You have it on your sheets over here. It says, again, this is Rav Kook sharing is how he related to this personally and his struggle. And this, specifically this thing, Chadarov, is like his mamish, his struggles. You see his struggles and his greatness. How he writes about himself. It's remarkable. He says, "Efshar li lehachachish es machshavti harooi." It's in haratzuya. Sorry. Efshar li lehachachish es machshavti haratzuya. It's impossible for me to lehachachish is to deny or contradict. Like hachasha is like Eidim b'hachasha, contradicting witnesses, right? It's impossible for me to deny or contradict my thought, haratzuya, he translates over here as my noble intention, but really means like my desired thinking, my lofty thinking. It's impossible for me to deny my lofty, elevated thoughts, Af al pi shehineni sovel be'ein shiur me'elbonot pnimim. Even though I suffer and tolerate be'ein shiur, with no measure, unlimitedness, ein shiur, there's no measure, unbounding, me'elbon pnimi, from inner shame and inner elbon, like we mentioned last week, the Tomer Devora, elbun, embarrassment, or shame, the melech elbun, like, even though it's impossible for me to deny my noble desires and thoughts, even though I struggle so much with shame and fear and anxiety and angst, right? But even though I struggle with all that, I cannot deny what I really want in life. That I struggle so much with this, it would be so hard to find anyone similar to me. There's no other comparable example of someone like me who struggles so much internally. This is Rav Kook, right? Mikol makom, nevertheless, hanekuda hapnimit, my innermost point, me'ira b'or Hashem, is illuminated with the light of God. Vihi tamid tiskaber, and it constantly renews and strengthens, empowers, charges itself up. V'chol ha'omdim aleya, and anyone who stands against my innermost point of being, mosifin lagvura, gives it strength. And he doesn't mean any criticism, external criticism that he faced in his life, but he's talking about internally. anyone or anything or any feeling that stands against my innermost point of light, the deepest recesses of my soul, actually gives it strength. As he said, the second you're feeling this, you're like a Baal Teshuva, right? It gives me strength. Hashem, now he gives a pasuk, he quotes a pasuk, Hashem uzi umagini. Hashem is my strength and my protector. Batach libi, my heart trusts, v'ne'ezarti, and I was helped. My heart trusted and I was helped. So again, as Rav Kook is saying over here, how much he suffered, how much he struggled, and that he says there's no one like me on planet Earth who struggles as much as I do, and you can't find anything comparable to this because I want so much out of life. I want to do so much. It says, like we were talking about, Rav Kook says that you have to strengthen yourself in the sod of machshavti, the sod of my thinking. Nevertheless, Hashem stares at our innermost, gazes at us in the most deepest way, has this look at us and says, Gevalt, you're doing amazing. I know nothing materialized, and I know you're sinning against me at every second, and you can't change your ways, and you're addicted to that, and struggling with this, and compulsive in this area, but you're Gevaldik. Hashem looks at our machshavti, Hashem looks at our thinking, and our innermost point, and we should be zoche too, really trust Hashem uzi umagini, bo batach libi, in my heart I trust in Mizarti. Hashem will definitely help us through the Yamim Noraim, through the Rosh Hashana, the head is sleeping, through the Rosh Bias, the head of the household, the Rosh, the Machshava, that we all exist in Hashem's mind. If Hashem wanted it a different way, Hashem would make it a different way. And this is zoche to strengthen ourselves with holy thinking, Yamim Noraim, and Mamlech Hashem, the chimu, with love and fear, and to be zoche to mamish all these holy words and really take to heart what Rav Kook is teaching us, that Hashem really looks on our innermost point and judges us favorably. So certainly we have to treat ourselves nicely. And certainly even if we don't realize how holy we are, Hashem sees how holy we are, to at least have that emunah, that don't take my word for it, take for Rav Kook's word for it, and how he himself struggled so much and wrestled with this. So as long as you're wrestling, you're doing good. Ay, ay, ay. Did it? Ay, 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 ay.